going to go ahead and get us started. We still have a couple people joining us, but we're going to go ahead and start our evening. Thank you so much for being here tonight for another one of our Petaluma City School Parent Nights. We have quite a few of them planned throughout the year, and we're so happy that you are here tonight. We are fortunate enough to have Megan Brand Stauff here with us. She is not only a certified empowered parenting coach, but she is also a parent in our district as well. So we get the benefit of having both of those lenses tonight in her viewpoint. So we're super excited about that and bringing in this idea of media balance. So how do we bring some media balance to our families in a way that makes sense for our family? It's going to look different in every household and in every different situation. And so we're trying to find the best balance for ourselves and our families and how to make that look as positive as possible within ourselves and our children. And before we get started, I just want to also not only introduce Megan, but we want to go through our webinar kind of differences. Being that it is a webinar, you will not be able to raise your hand or chat with us, but we do have the question and answer feature that is there. If you do have a question throughout any point of the presentation, feel free to type it in and either Jimena and I will be able to respond to you if it's something we can. If it's something that we would prefer Megan to answer at the end, then we will wait and we'll tell you that we'll answer it live at the end so that she can respond to you and give you her best take on how to answer that piece. And then we also have our interpretation globe down at the bottom, which I'll let Jimena kind of go through that. Sorry, Jimena, that was a lot.
Muy buenas noches. Sé que Mariana está haciendo un trabajo súper genial en el otro canal, pero sí queremos dejarles saber a los que nos están viendo todavía en el canal de inglés que en la parte de abajo del globito de interpretación pueden escoger el lenguaje en español y escucharán la maravillosa voz de Mariana. Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros hoy y aprender un poquito más del balance con los medios sociales y las cosas electrónicas que nuestros hijos usan. Thank you.
So without further ado, we are so excited to have Megan here tonight, as I said, not only as a coach, but as a parent in our district to help us just learn about how to best find the right media balance for our family. So thank you, Megan, for being here. We're so excited.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here and to share what I've learned. So should I go ahead and share my screen?
Yeah, I gave you access, so you should be good to go.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So, yes, as Gina said, I am a mother of a 6th grader in the district, and I'm also a certified parenting coach with the Jai Institute for Parenting. And I also spent many years teaching preschool, and I have a degree in early childhood education. And in 2018, I went back to school and I earned a degree in holistic health. So what brought me to create this presentation was a desire to find balance in my own family with myself and with my son. And my perspective comes from observing society and especially children as we went through the digital age. I grew up in a house with 3 sisters, 1 telephone, and if it rang, we all had to jump for it because there were no answering machines and no caller ID. So I've seen a lot of changes over the years, and I spent a lot of time exploring and questioning the effects of these smartphones and media on my own behavior and the children around me. And so, as Gina said, that through discussions with early childhood education and studying holistic health and reading scientific studies, I determined that finding some sort of balance was key. I could not get rid of it altogether, and I didn't want it to take over. So I feel like now I have found a balance, and I'm really excited to share what I've learned with you. So first of all, I want to just congratulate you on being here, for taking the time to find ways to find a healthy approach to digital media. I want to acknowledge our strengths and celebrate our successes that brought us to this moment. We have been through a lot in the last couple of years, and I'm just really amazed by the resilience and adaptability of parents and children. And so my intention here is to help you use the tools of empowered parenting to find a healthy balance for your individual family. So it's going to look different for everybody. So there's no doubt that we're facing challenges that no other generation has faced. And we want our families to feel safe and happy and healthy in the digital age. And we want to build on our strengths by giving you helpful tools without shame, blame, or guilt. And so for this presentation, I am using the term media to mean anything that is on the internet or on a screen. So TV, movies, social media apps, video games, Alexa, Google Home, all of that stuff. And so if you wouldn't mind taking a moment, just thinking about some of the strengths of digital media. And Gina, we were going to do the thing where we open it up where people can maybe type their thoughts about this, and we'll see what people are saying about digital media's strengths.
Yeah, Jimena actually created a little, it's called a Mentimeter that we're going to utilize for this. Jimena, do you have that?
Share it with everyone who's viewing us, the menti.com. And when you are in that web page, we will use the code, sharing the code right now, 5251, 5864.
So if you go to that on you can do it on the device that you're watching this on, or on another one, or open another tab, or however you want to utilize it, but you won't get rid of Zoom if you do it on the device that you're watching us on. If you go to menti.com, the link is right there in the chat. There's the website or the link, either one, and type in that code. You're going to start just typing in what you think some strengths, some of the digital media strengths are. And it won't associate your name or anything with it. It will just start popping up all of those items that you're putting in so that we can see what those look like. And I think for this, we're going to move it over. Do you have that open, Jimena, so we can see? Let's change it from that so we can see that viewpoint, just to see what people are sharing. So it'll create this word cloud of what you are putting in there. And the things that people are putting in more often will get bigger, so that you can see if there are things that are common amongst what you are finding in that. So you're putting in the strengths of digital media. So what do you think are some strengths that digital media has to offer to all of us, to our students, to us, to our society? These are great.
See, information, resources, facts.
And the more we get, the more it will change and grow, just so we can start to see what we could utilize from digital media. Definitely remote learning.
Responses are also welcome.
And
I like that music anywhere. One of my favorites.
And the fact that information is bigger on there just shows that more people have responded with that. So more people are saying that information is something that is a strength of digital media. That's why it is larger than the other items in there. Give another moment or two for people to put any other thoughts, last minute thoughts on there. What do you think are some strengths of digital media? Awesome. Remote learning, immediacy, information, connection, facts, music anywhere, remote learning. These are great.
Connection.
Connection, I like that. Connection with family, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Jimena, for putting that up. Do we want to go back to Megan's? Yeah, thank you for stopping your screen share.
Thank you, Jimena.
Will it not let you? There. All right, Megan.
Okay, so am I sharing screen again, or is it
Yeah.
showing?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can share yours now.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing for your biggest concerns about digital media.
Jimena, do you have a separate Mentimeter for that?
It's still the same code, and what they'll do is just go to the next slide.
Perfect. Okay, so you'll stay on your Mentimeter that you're currently on, and you'll click to the next slide, and it should be a new one that will not have that information. And this time you are typing in your biggest concerns about digital media. And like I said before, it could be biggest concerns for digital media for yourself or for your child or your family or just in general as a society. It doesn't have to be to any particular thing, but just your concerns with digital media. And then Jimena, would you mind popping that one back up? Thank you.
Those are all on my list too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely that lack of human connection. Absolutely. Balance, addiction, lack of boundaries, child predators. Absolutely. Cyberbullying.
Creativity sucking, yeah. Can do both. Take it away and you can get very creative. Bad behaviors afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
With addiction being the biggest.
Yeah. Your audio's going a little out, Jimena, again.
My audio is just not collaborating today.
Thank you for putting that together, Jimena, just so we can kind of see some thoughts of what we are excited about and see as a strength with digital media and what we're concerned about and going to cover with Megan. So I'm going to stop that screen share, and then Megan, you can go ahead and reshare your slideshow.
Thank you, Jimena.
Perfect. There we go.
So, as we could see, there are some legitimate concerns and there is some benefits. So, creating the balance. So, when we if we're wondering if there is a balance or how to create a balance, the first thing we want to do is ask these questions not only about ourselves, but our child. So are we physically healthy? Are we sleeping enough? Are we connecting socially with family and friends? Are we engaged with and achieving at work and school? Are we pursuing interests and hobbies? And are we having fun? So if things are not feeling like they're in balance, the first thing, there are two things we want to look at. The parent and the child. And the first thing we want to do is look at the parent. And we want to keep in mind that connection between the parent and the child is at the root of all the solutions for all our concerns. So keep that in mind as we go through this, and that connection with our child is the overriding goal. So if we look at the parent, there's 5 points to consider. And we'll go deeper into each of these, but no shame, blame, or guilt. We want to be informed and aware. We want to be good role models. We want to get curious about our child's behavior. And then finally develop core values and set limits based on our values. So if we look at point number 1, no shame, blame, or guilt. This is where I invite you to be very gentle with yourself. Parenting can be extremely overwhelming, especially as we've been doing it lately. We're often operating in survival mode. And so to really look at our strengths and to give ourselves credit for finding ways to cope and for the desire to explore healthy solutions. So if, with all the things that we're dealing with, if you're feeling kind of overwhelmed, what you want to do is start with your basic needs. Are your basic needs for food, sleep, nutrition, exercise, and especially fun, are they being met? And if not, what can we do about that? One thing is to get a really good support group system. So do you have family in town that you can leave the kids with so you can get a break? Or do you have a like-minded group of friends that have children that you can share concerns with? And then even therapy or other support in the community. Just make sure that your support system is really strong. And then as we deal with a lot of stress, you want to be able to have some really good sensory calming tools. So meditation, breathing exercises, yoga, acupuncture, EFT tapping, and even just running cool water over your hands can help you calm your nervous system. So if you really make sure that that's a priority, that is a really good place to start. And then, like I said, make caring for yourself a priority. And you've probably heard this before, but it's important to put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. You really can't do good parenting if your needs aren't met, or it's much harder. So once your needs are met, then we'll go to point number 2, staying informed and aware. So there's just so much information out there and it's coming at us so fast, it can feel overwhelming. But if we're grounded in key information that we can trust, we can move forward confidently. And a really great resource is commonsensemedia.org. And there's, if you go there to that website, there's what parents should know link. And they have articles like how much time on screens is too much? Does social media cause depression? What should I do if my child is bullied online? Is it okay for my kid to start her own YouTube channel? So that website just has so much information, and it's good information without a lot of hype or panic. And then it also has guidelines for movies and other things, but it's just really a good support. And Petaluma City Schools also uses common sense curriculum. And so I know my son has come home with homework to help him, activities for the two of us to do to help us become digital citizens. We filled out a parent-child agreement form. We created screen-free zones, so there's no no media or no phones or tablets at the table when we're having dinner. So things like that. They have really good ideas for how to do that. And then another part of being informed and aware is to be aware of algorithms and things like social media platforms, how they use algorithms like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. They use algorithms to keep you engaged, and it's an algorithm is a computer generated way of tracking what content you engage with, and then it continues to send it to your feed. And so, for example, a kid scrolling YouTube or TikTok starts off wanting to see a silly cat video and then clicks, and then it's sent more. And it can end up taking a lot of their time, but then also if there are no filters or parental controls, that it can show them some inappropriate things that you don't want them to see. And also Common Sense Media also has tips on how to set up parental controls on your devices. So another way these platforms are designed to keep you engaged is the continuous loop. So as soon as one video ends, another one starts. So there's no break, and you're just continually getting fed. And the same thing goes for streaming platforms like Netflix. I know years ago, binge watching wasn't a thing, but now it's fairly common, and it's designed to keep people engaged, and it feels good. So, it's fun to relax and just kind of go through a series, and to be aware that there's a reason that these kinds of things feel good, like video games and being engaged with this screen is some of these, it engages the pleasure center of our brains, and it releases a hormone called dopamine. And that's the same feel-good hormone that's released when people take addictive drugs like cocaine and heroin. So I'm not saying that watching Netflix is the same as using heroin, but there is scientific data that shows that kids can get addicted. And it looks like, that is one of a big concern of people. So it sounds like people are already aware of that. And I do have some articles on how to recognize the signs of addiction. So we can, at the end, we can kind of take a look at some of those, or I can send them. But the point is to not panic, but to stay informed and aware. And then another thing to be aware of is that when you spend time on screens, your nervous system is going to get dysregulated. So it's important to take breaks every 20 to 30 minutes, stretch, get outside, get some fresh air, and then understand that your child is going to be dysregulated after they've been on a screen. So they're going to need some help getting regulated before you make a request from them. So get them outside, get them a glass of cold water, something like that, before you ask them to do something else. And then the last one, just recognizing that when you respond with anger, fear, and punishment and bribes, that leads to disconnection with your child. And later we'll talk a little more about a tool that is called the peace process, and we'll do some role playing and work through what that looks like, kind of help you work through almost any parenting challenge. And so part of being aware and informed is having, the experts, expert advice. So the American Academy of Pediatrics and the World Health Organization have these recommendations that are up on the screen now. And here I invite you to gather the information from the experts and then use it as a goal or a guideline. If you're not there, don't just give up everything, but just say, okay, I'm not there yet, but maybe that's what we want to work towards. And then also know that every family is different. An hour of physical activity, I know my son needs a lot more than an hour. So take the expert advice, but consider your own family and your own child. And then point 3, being a good role model. And this is really important. Kids are experts when it comes to sniffing out our hypocrisy, and especially tweens are really good at calling out their parents. So modeling the behavior you want to see is your first priority. And then after you've modeled the behavior, you want to monitor what your child is doing. So you want to be able to set limits, but not lecture too much, because that kind of makes it go underground. Then they start to sneak, or they just don't listen. And when you're monitoring, you want to communicate. Remember to communicate to connect rather than to punish. And then mediate. So since we want to teach our kids to make positive choices when they're on their own, as they get older, we want to start stepping back and mediate rather than jumping in every time there's an issue. And then if we get to point 4, it's really important to get curious about your own response to your child's behavior. So is your response fear-based? Are you kind of in a panic? It is scary. And there are some legitimate fears, but you don't want to just go off with a fear that's not grounded in reality. And so you want to make sure that I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked a little bit. Bear with me, I'm going to take a deep breath. Lots of information to give you, and I don't want to get mixed up. So the next one is to, as we get curious, is our response coming from a limiting belief? Is that our own belief, or is it something we think we should be doing? Is it something our parents are saying we should be doing? And just kind of going inside and examining where that belief is really coming from, and understanding the difference between power over and power under parenting. So power over parenting is the belief that children must obey at all costs. And that's the most important thing, is that they're obeying. And that leads to disconnection. So the other side of the pendulum would be power under parenting, where we think, oh, they'll never listen to me. I can't do anything about this, so I don't do anything. So the goal is to power with your child, so you get mutual trust between the parent and the child, and there's a strong connection and you're working together to solve problems. And there's a really good tool that Marshall Rosenberg came up with. It's the 10 steps of an empowered conversation. And there's 10 steps to it, and it's an involved process, but it really is helpful, and it can help with having a conversation with your child or your partner. And so it helps making sure that everybody in the family's needs are met in a safe way. And so that brings me to the next point of, are your needs being met? And now I'm talking more about your emotional needs. So if you're responding to your child with kind of panic or anger, it could be possible that you're really longing for ease and cooperation. And so then you might try to figure out how you can get that for yourself, how you can ask for that without getting angry. And then paying attention to your body. So are you feeling dysregulated? So if you've told your child 1,000 times to stop playing the video game and they're not listening to you, what's happening in your body? Are your teeth clenched? Is your heart rate going up? Do you have an urge to scream? So all of these are signals that you're dysregulated, and they're there to help you pay attention and then get regulated yourself. So take some deep breaths, get a walk outside and till you feel calmer. And so then you're responding to your child. If you feel empowered, you'll respond with strong, clear attachment to your goal and a trust in yourself and your child that they will do the right thing. And here we are at point 5. So this is really important. I found this very helpful when I was going through this process. To develop core values and set limits based on your values. So the first one, what are your family's top 3 values? So for example, my top 3 values are health and safety, connection, and love. And so what boundaries do I create around these values? So for me, media for health and safety, media use must be in balance. So if I start to see it out of balance, I step in and set some limits around it. And then how do you model these boundaries? So I strive to keep my media use in balance, and I also stand firm in my belief that it's my job to keep my child safe. And then, so how do you take responsibility to support your child to succeed in your boundary? So health and safety is a value that I feel really secure in. And then, so I know that my son, that is not a value for him yet, but I think about what I can do to create a bridge to get him to that value. And then that's when I have these values, then I set the limits around those values rather than from what society is telling me to do or what my parents might be telling me to do. I deal with the child in front of me and set the limits there. And so now we're ready to address the child. As the parent, we've developed core values, we've taken responsibility for our own needs, We have a way of calming our nervous system. We feel informed and aware, and now we can deal with the child. And so in the next few slides, we'll go through each of these 4 points. Connect with your child, understanding your child's response, considering the underlying need, and then including the child in the problem solving. So the first point is connect with your child. And so I think of it as entering their world, filling their cup. So human beings are designed for connection. And so children operate best when they feel a strong connection to their adult. And a really great tool that I found very helpful is something that came from something called hand-in-hand parenting, and they call that special time. And the idea is to just, you set a timer and you just put away any distractions, no phones, you let the dishes be in the sink, and you just spend time following your child's lead, letting them make the choices of what you're going to do or play. And just start off with 5 minutes. And I know for me, when I first started this, it was 5 minutes was feeling like too much. So I started off with 2 minutes. I set the timer and then we built on it. And now we don't even set a timer. We just spend time together for a really long time. And it's just a really great way to connect. So another really great way is through play. Play is our children's language. And when we connect through play, we can set limits and help them follow the limits. And it encourages their confidence. And a really great resource for figuring out how to be a playful parent is Playful Parenting by Lawrence J. Cohen. And at the end of the presentation, I have a list of really great books and resources. So that's one of them. And so point number 2 is understanding your child's response to digital media. So we talked a little bit about this in the being informed and aware. So time on screens causes your child to be dysregulated. And they are going to need some time and some help to get back on track after they've spent time on a device. And so some things to get them back on track can be fresh air, movement, time in nature, gazing into their eyes, humming, tapping, drinking cold water, and running cold water over your hands. And to remember that until you are both regulated, there really isn't any point in giving directions or making requests. We want to get them to the place that Tina Payne Bryson and Daniel Siegel call the yes brain. And this hand model is a great way of explaining the yes brain. So if you look at your hand, at the base of the base of your brain is represented by your wrist, and that's the brain stem, and it's responsible for basic things like breathing and keeping your heart pumping. And then image 2, your thumb folds in and it sits in the middle, just like the amygdala in the brain. And the amygdala is responsible for sensing danger and telling the brain and body that there's danger. And so then your 4 fingers fold over the amygdala, and this is the prefrontal cortex. And that's the part of the brain that helps us manage emotions and make complex decisions. And this part of your child's brain is not fully developed until I think it's like age 23 or something. So they need a lot of help with when their emotions are high, they need a lot of help. So when fear and danger or intense emotion overwhelm our amygdala, the prefrontal cortex goes offline, and they call it flipping their lid. You flip your lid and you become dysregulated. And that's why it's sometimes hard to make thoughtful decisions when you're dysregulated or very upset. And so when brains are overwhelmed like this, they need a break to reflect and reconnect. And so considering the underlying need of our child's behavior, it is really important to remember that all behavior is an attempt to get a need met. So here, this quote, adults don't get it. They think I'm addicted to technology, but I'm not. I'm addicted to my friends. So when we look underneath the behavior, we often find the universal need of wanting to belong. And so when we do that, we can help our child with the need of wanting to be connected with their friends. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with technology. But if we're just looking at the technology as the problem, then we don't really address the underlying need. And with a deeper understanding of the need, we can find better options and address the need. And then remembering that connecting in a calm way with our children opens the lines of communications. And when they feel safe and seen, they share their feelings, and then their parents gain a better understanding. And so here is Jim Gaffigan's quote about having a child do schoolwork on the same device they use to play Minecraft is like having a Weight Watchers meeting at Wendy's. This is really true. We're handing our children these devices and expecting them to have self-control, but this is something that is learned, and it's learned by watching us have self-control, by us being present and paying attention to what they're doing to help them make the next step for self-control. So again, addressing the underlying need rather than just that the device is the problem and the child is not listening. We're asking a lot of them. And so how do we combat the content that we're concerned about? So when our kids are little, we choose for them. It's much easier to make the decisions because they're not as aware of what's out there. But then as they get older, we want the older children to be able to choose for themselves. And the goal is to help them make good choices on their own. And to remember that it's okay to check, but it's best to let them know that we'll be checking, but not to catch them, but to help them. And then always follow up with a chat about what you find or what you don't find in texts and apps and search viewing histories. And that many kids use social media and go online without much trouble. But if they do make mistakes, we can help guide them to make better choices. And so it's really important to know when to step in. So how do you know if your child is overdoing screen time? You want to look for these symptoms listed here. And So your child's symptoms might be causing major problems at school or at home with their peers. That's time to step in. And then if your child's symptoms improve after 3 or 4 weeks of strict removal of electronics, then you know that it was the electronics that were causing the problem, and that you need to take steps to help them. So we can use parental controls and we can turn the Wi-Fi off and things like that, but that doesn't address the core issue. These little geniuses find ways to work around those things. But hopefully you've gained some tools here and some information to address the core issues in an empowered way without threats, shame, blame, or bribes. You want to be able to do it through connection and find the best way to connect with your particular child. And so here, if we want to do a role play scenario, if anybody has something that, like an example, you've asked your child to get off their device and they're not listening. If there's somebody that wants to role play that, we can do that. Gina and Jimena, I'm not really sure how that'll work with this webinar, but we can give it a try. This is the peace process.
So we can, if there's somebody who is interested, I'll open up the chat right now. Right now they are not able to, so I'll open up the chat if there's anybody who has something that they would like to go through this process. And then from there, I'll allow them to unmute themselves. So if there's anybody who does want to go, has a situation, a scenario like she's talking about and wants to walk through what this might look like, feel free to type it in the chat, and Jimena and I will see that. And then we will unmute you so you can work with Megan to go through the process. See if anybody is brave enough to put something in there.
If not, I'm going to have you do it with me, Gina.
Absolutely. I am on board. I'm getting silence in the chat right now.
There's silence there.
All right, so it looks like you've got me, Megan.
Okay, do you have a scenario in mind, or do you want to use?
We have someone. We have someone. Christy Fisher says she'll go. So let me go find her real quick so that she can unmute herself. There she is. Okay, Christy, you can talk now. You are good. You bring your situation to Megan.
Okay, so do you want my camera on?
It's fine either way, whatever you prefer.
I don't know how to do that.
No
my situation is, sorry, I'm gonna go on another for a quick moment. So my situation is my daughter, she's 15, and it's like crack with her, with this addiction. And we took a break during the holidays. We went away for about 5 days, and she had no electronics, and she was like social, engaging with the family, having that true belly laugh, just like being herself again. Normally it's a constant argument. She's into it. She has gone way over the top with the gaming, constantly wants to chat with the friends, which I'm okay with. My big concern is the cyberbullying and all the information that's getting thrown at her, which is causing her to have isolation, depression. She's withdrawn. She has a lot of anxiety. She's becoming more withdrawn and doesn't like to socialize as much. She doesn't have really that many in-person friends now anymore. It's a very scary path right now, and we're like in therapy, but I firmly believe like a big root of this is the electronics and the addiction that she has to it. It's really bad.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that you are not alone in that. And so you expressed a lot of different things. So for this role play, let's choose one thing that you like, a limit that you would like to set, or a concern that you have. Just one, like I'm trying to narrow it down to maybe like, so you've asked her to get off the device to do her homework or to do something.
Oh gosh.
And she's not doing it.
Oh no, it's a battle.
Yeah. Okay, so what you want to do first, and this is not going to solve the whole addiction, that kind of thing, but this can maybe help get just like a start. So if you look at the word peace, the first letter is P, so presence. So what you want to do first is make sure that all your needs are met. You're fed, you're not too sleepy, you're feeling calm. And so you go to your child and maybe sit next to her, if she'll allow it, and just be present. Sometimes you might ask what she's doing. What are you doing online? Who are you talking to? And I know that it may be, I don't want to talk to you right now. Then you might say, so when would be a good time to talk? So if you're present, and we're assuming the next step is that she's allowing you to be present, and you can say, wow, you seem really engaged, or you're really into that. Yeah, I understand. I know, maybe we're on E now, we're showing empathy. I understand it can be really hard to put that device down. I get caught up in it too, and I'm scrolling Facebook and I really want to put it down, but it's compelling. I understand that. And so then the next one would be A. So you acknowledge that. So you would say, you're really into it, but I've asked you to turn it off, and you're not turning it off. What's happening? And here you will just listen, and without judgment, you won't try to say anything else. You'll just listen. And then you will actively listen, and then kind of mirror back what she has said to you. What can you maybe give me an example of what she might say after you have said, I've asked you to get off, you haven't gotten off, what's happening? Can you kind of maybe imagine what she might say?
Yeah, sometimes. So lying has become an issue because I'm doing my homework when she's not. And I'll be like, well, what are you on? And then she quickly closes the screen and says, look, it's my homework. That's one thing. If it's time for her to take a break and then I say, hand me your phone, that part has gotten a little bit better, but it would be complete meltdowns. You can't make me. I'm not going to give it to you. It's mine. Why do you want it? You don't need it. It's my security blanket. It's my connection, my only way to talk to my friends. So those are some of the things that we have.
Okay, so let me pick one or just so she's saying you've asked her to get off, you ask her what's going on, and she says it's the only way that I can talk to my friends. And so then you would show empathy again and say, yeah, I understand. It's important to be connected to your friends. And it's really important that you take a break. I am your mom, and it's my job to keep you safe. And I love you, and I want to keep you safe. And I really would like to help you put the phone down. So what do you think you would need to help you put the phone down? And then you listen to her, you explore solutions together. So you listen to her ideas. Well, maybe can I have it for 5 more minutes? Okay, do you think you can keep that time? Or do you think you need help with a timer? I can set a timer. And so, it depends on what she's saying and what's happening, but you explore the solutions and let her be part of the solution. So you stand firm that it's your job to keep her safe and healthy. And, if she is fighting you on that, then ask her, what do you think I can do to help you? And then see where she comes with that.
Okay. Sometimes it turns into, at that point, I hate you.
Yeah.
You don't love me. Get out of my room.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty common thing. And I think here where when you're grounded and you're feeling safe yourself, it's important to remember that it's not a personal thing. She is experiencing withdrawal, and so kind of treat it as such until until she's regulated, until she's not dysregulated. So how does that sound?
It sounds good. It sounds very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I know it's really hard to be vulnerable and share that kind of thing, but I really appreciate it because I think it does help a lot, and it helps me also. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being our brave volunteer.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this is not a one and done solution. There's no magic pill. Every family must find what's best for their individual family. And then what I found the most disappointing is that technology keeps evolving and my child keeps growing, and then it's a new challenge. And I just have come to the conclusion that I'm going to have to continually adjust what we're doing and to stay present and inform and to strive for a loving connection. And I have seen the light at the end of the tunnel with my son. There was very much addictive behaviors that I don't see anymore. And, but it's not that it wouldn't pop up again. It's something I have to stay aware of. So, so that here is some resources. So Common Sense Media, Petaluma City Schools. I don't know if you have any resources you want to add, or maybe I was going to talk to you before the presentation about that, but
we had talked a lot about how common sense media is something that teachers are utilizing in the classrooms as well. And so I know that that is happening in classrooms at least once a month with some sort of digital media lesson. And some teachers are also sending that information home to families. I know when I was teaching fourth grade last year, and back in the classroom, that was something that I was sending home to families after doing a lesson and giving them those resources. But if you're not getting those resources, you can find them yourself on Common Sense Media, and it's a great resource for all things media and how to manage that for your house. So it's not just things that are happening in the classroom. It's also different guidelines, different ideas, ways to utilize that, lessons that you can do that they may have done in the classroom, but just a lot of great resources, finding age appropriate what movies and shows and things are for what age. It's a great resource for that as well, to just be able to find what is appropriate. So that's definitely, I think, a great one that would be my go-to.
And then another resource would be myself as a parenting coach. I also teach a course in empowered parenting. So you can reach out to me at www.gratefulparenting.org. And the list of books there are all really helpful as well, just in parenting in general, because it's not really the media and the digital media. It's about the connection between the parent and the child. And so I want to thank everybody, and then we can do questions.
Yeah, so we already have one for you, Megan, that we're going to have you answer, because Jimena and I do not know. Where can I find the 12 steps to empowered communication with my children that you mentioned in the Get Curious About Your Response section?
It's in, this is going to be backwards, but it's Marshall Rosenberg's Nonviolent Communication.
Is that a book you're holding?
This is a book. That's what it looks like.
Thank you.
And then in the course that I teach, there's a whole week on the 10 steps of empowered conversations.
Thank you. If anybody else has a question, feel free to pop it into the question and answer, and Jimena and I will read them out and either answer them ourselves if it's something we can, or read it for Megan to answer, because most likely it's for her. So feel free, if you have any questions, to enter those into our Q&A. And while we're giving a moment for those to pop in, if anybody has any, I just want to thank Megan so much for this amazing presentation. Jimena and I actually have already gone through a conversation with her and reviewed all the slides and worked with her. And even still, after all of that, I learned so many things tonight, even though I've already seen the whole slideshow. And so I'm so grateful that you were able to come tonight and put this on for our families. We know that this is something that all of our families are constantly trying to figure out the right balance. And like you said, it's always evolving, and technology is always evolving, and our role is always changing. And so it's important to have these tips and these ideas to be able to navigate that and find the right balance for each of our own families. So we so appreciate you, and just want to thank you so much for being here. And to all of you parents for being here as well, and taking that step to just learn about this and be here. And I want to thank Jimena for being here and helping support this, and also Mariana for doing all of our interpretation as well. It's been a great evening. Let's see, are there any questions?
One question.
Thank you. We have a thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
We have a thank you, yes. Same. Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much. I
Thank
also
you.
shared Megan's website with everyone. The link is there if anyone could go ahead and check it out.
Perfect.
We have, should children have different electronics for gaming versus homework?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I know that the iPads they have filters on them. They still have access to streaming and YouTube and stuff, but at least you can feel confident that it's not going to be inappropriate. It's still a distraction, but definitely I think it makes it much more challenging to have a device where you're able to play a game. So for my house, we have in the office, the devices stay in, I'll maybe show you. They stay in that organizer there, and we have a Chromebook for schoolwork and an iPad for schoolwork, and then he has a computer for games, and no phone till he's 30.
I got mine. I'm just kidding.
I'm kidding, of course.
Yes, that was a question from Christy in the chat. Thank you, Megan.
Okay, thank you, Christy, for this question.
Are there any other questions? We are happy to answer whatever we can. Oh, but we have somebody who has a recommendation, more of a comment. It has taken Megan's class before and cannot recommend the class enough. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Any suggestions for when your children steal their electronics after they were taken away? They will hunt them down.
They will. Yeah, so that's it's a process that that you know that they're going to find ways to get to these devices, and so you engage the child with the problem solving. So what I did was came up with a plan that I came up with my son, and I said, this is the plan, and he agreed to the plan, and we even signed the document. And so when they don't follow the plan, so if they go and they steal it, I don't yell, scream, or punish. I say, you weren't able to follow the plan. You went and you got the device when we had agreed that we're not going to get the device right now. And so what can we do? I think that, what do you think will help you remember not to go do that? And for my son, it's been like, well, that he came up with the idea, well, then if I can't remember and I go get it, then maybe I don't get screen time on Wednesday when I'm allowed screen time. Maybe you take some time off of it. And so then I say, okay, that works. So, so does that answer the question?
I think it did, but we'll wait and see the response there. I definitely think it answered the question.
Gina and I just wait. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
We got a
There we
response.
go. Perfect. Are there any other questions for Megan, our wonderful presenter who has so many tips and tricks for us and suggestions? Okay. Well, as I said, thank you so much, Megan. This was very insightful and helpful, and I hope that all of our parents that joined us tonight got as much out of it as I know I did. And I know some of you, some people had emailed as well, and I will put it out there. We are recording it, and we will send the recording out for anybody who was not able to see it. So make sure if there's somebody that you know that wanted to be here tonight, we will be sending that out in our PCS communication. So we will send out the recording. So thank you, Mariana. Thank you, Jimena. And of course, thank you so much, Megan, for what a wonderful presentation this was tonight. We so appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. It's a passion of mine, and really I'm glad to share what I've learned.
So
The attendees we still have watching us, I do want to mention that we have 2 more upcoming parent nights we'll be promoting soon. One is on February 10th. That's we have a Spanish presenter. Her name is Doctora Marisol. She'll be talking about healthy communications and mental health, and we'll be having a simultaneous live translation in English. And we also have one on February 23rd on healthy communications. And again, Gina and I will be hosting those. And thank you, Gina, for facilitating today. And Megan, great presentation. I've learned so much. And I just wish everyone a great and happy evening and a great rest of your week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Good evening, everybody.